Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Setting your financial targets and getting your pricing strategy right for your business. My guest expert today is Anna Lundberg. She is the founder of One Step Outside, where she helps people around the world build businesses and create a lifestyle that allows them to have unimaginable sense of freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. Since leaving her corporate job in 2013, Anna is now living this. She's living her successful life. She is passionate about inspiring and supporting others to do the same. Anna, great to have you here.
Thank you, Lorna. Thanks for having me.
Anna, I had a business before this business, and I heard lots of ideas on how to set my money goal and how to price. And sometimes it made me a little more lost than structured. So I'd love for you to share with us what we need to be thinking about when we're looking at price strategy and setting our financial targets.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Sometimes it can become more complicated than it needs to be. And I think money in particular is quite a thorny, emotional subject for a lot of us. I guess to take a step back and also to where I'm coming to the topic, because you very nicely introduced me there. And, you know, my message is all about reimagining success. And actually, my whole message is around sort of leaving the corporate 9-to-5 and questioning the conventional definition of success in terms of salary and promotions and money and so on. And I talk about, as you said, freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, having fun, learning, having a young family, traveling the world and so on. So it's almost ironic that I come to this topic because my whole message is around the fact that success is so much more than money. However, what I realized, and I've, gone, I think, to both extremes of the spectrum. Initially, when I left my job, I worked incredibly hard as a consultant and ended up earning more than when I'd been in a corporate job. Then I went through what I like to call my hippie phase, when I was having a lot of fun and traveling the world, but basically spending my savings and not earning a lot of money. And my goal now for myself and hopefully for other people to help to inspire is to be able to find the right balance between the two. Because as I've come to discover, and maybe I was foolish not to realize this, but let me know if I was too naive, probably. We need money, shocker, to have that freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment that we dream about. So as much as there is so much more to success than money, we have to recognize that money is a means to an end. It's a means to be able to travel the world. It's a means to be able to take time off to take care of our young children. It's a means to be able to not worry about it and so on. So that's just to set the stage of, I guess, where I'm coming from with the topic.
When you're sharing your story there, you were talking about I'm earning lots of money and that's great, and then I'm traveling but I've no money. And I think that's something a lot of people suffer with because we're exchanging our time for money, and when we're doing that, we don't always have the time to do the things we love or want.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think those are the two extremes we see in especially social media now and in the whole conversation around money. And the one end you see, and I'm sure I'm not alone in seeing these, I'm bombarded on social media, Instagram, Facebook with these, oh, look at me, I'm working 2 minutes a week and earning 6 figures and I'm on this jet with Oprah and I'm on the beach. Yes. And so on. Obviously the sort of 4-hour work week inspirational. Exactly. And I'm not working at all and earning loads of money. That's one extreme. Then you have the other end, which is the hustling entrepreneur, the struggling freelancer. To be honest, even the kind of Elon Musk, there was this big thing about Elon Musk. He doesn't sleep. There's no time for that, and that's to the other side of it that, you're working really hard. Okay, Elon Musk is rich, so not the best example, but, there's this cliche about freelancers entrepreneurs working really hard and just not being able to make a lot of money. And I think both of those extremes are wrong. And the truth, as ever, is somewhere in between, right? We can earn good money and we can also live a great life. It takes work, it takes strategy and getting support, et cetera, but it is totally possible to find that balance. And I think sometimes, as you said, we get caught between those two black and white extremes and we don't see all the shades of colour in between.
So what can I be doing to get the balance?
Great question. And I have to start with a bit of a wishy-washy answer, which is the eternal question of mindset, because before getting into the strategy and, some concrete things, as you said, and hopefully something that will simplify rather than complicate, I think breaking that down, the beliefs around money is so important. And this was big for me because I think, again, coming from certainly I come from a corporate background and people I work with, others might come from a struggling financial background, but whatever history, family, experience we've had, that creates all these thoughts and assumptions around money. So I think one assumption we all make is that money is really important to me. And yes, again, there's a certain level that we need to survive, but a lot of us are lucky in our society where we live, in our countries in Northern Europe at least, we're not going to get thrown out onto the streets. We can potentially live with our family or friends. We can get some kind of job. Certainly, again, I'm very fortunate to have a good university education and so on. So we have to recognize that it's not as the worst case scenario isn't as awful as we might paint it to be. There are also lots of beliefs around the fact that you can only earn lots of money by having a full-time job, being an employee. You can only earn lots of money by working really hard. Working for myself is risky. It means earning less and all those things, right? So there's, I think, questioning some of those beliefs we have around money, literally just bunging them down on a piece of paper. This is everything I believe around money. And then we can begin to explore, is that actually true? Is there evidence to support that? Yes, maybe. But is there evidence to support the opposite? Yes, probably. So, I know lots of people who run their own business and are financially stable and successful. I know lots of people who have their own business and don't work 24-hour days, So I think opening your eyes to a different way of thinking about money is really important. So before you even start thinking about what to do, I think just looking at your beliefs and what your thoughts are around money is really important.
Yeah, because you need a good relationship with money, because if you don't have a good relationship with money, the ideas or the opportunities don't come into your mind to put them into action.
No, and as rational and sort of conventional I am in my upbringing and everything, I do also see that, of course, if I'm going around saying, I don't need money, it's probably not going to bring a lot of money into my life, whether you believe in the whole universe, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. But, me going around saying, it's the same thing if I say I'm single and I don't need a boyfriend, I don't want to meet a man. It's unlikely that romantic partner is going to come into your life. So I do think there's a balance of, okay, money is important. This is the role it plays in my life. It's going to allow me to travel, to work less, to choose which clients I work with, so that I have to work with these horrible people. I can actually choose really exciting projects to work on, and so on. So really thinking about, why is this important? And as uncomfortable as it is to sit down and look at numbers in black and white, to really get to grips with, this is where I'm starting from. This is the situation right now, because you may be pleasantly surprised, or you may be shocked into realizing, hang on, I need to save more, I need to spend less, and so on. So it's always good to also concretely have a really good grasp of where you are financially, both in terms of your beliefs, but also in terms of your actual bank balance.
Yeah, I feel the two complement each other in that if you struggle in the mindset area, or you struggle in the strategy area, or looking at your numbers, that helping yourself do the thing you should do helps you to build your mindset, or do the necessary work with the mindset to go to the next level. And then doing your numbers help you really get clear on what is actually going on, because we can have very limiting beliefs about where our money is at, and you can have more than you think you do, or where you're putting it. Once you can see what's going on, it's very easy to rectify.
Yes, and as you said, they feed into each other, because I can set goals of, I'm going to make 6 figures, I'm going to have a 6-figure month, whatever, however ambitious you want to be. But if I don't believe that's going to happen, I've heard some money coaches say, oh, put down a number, now triple it. I'm like, okay, but I've already put down a number that I think is unrealistic. You're telling me now to make it even more unrealistic. I have no belief that this is ever going to happen. And that's obviously going to make it not happen, because if I'm not even trying, I'm not going to get close. And likewise, if I say, yes, I believe the money is amazing, and then I actually don't have a strategy to support it, then that's not going to help either. So you're so right that the two need to complement each other, really go hand in hand.
So how do we set our financial targets?
Yes, so once we have that mindset, and once we've sort of really thought about what money means and so on, I think the biggest thing, and this is true for everything, money, but also career, again, relationships and everything, is to start with, and apologies, I'm going to bring it back to my message of defining success, but how much money do you want/need? And the want/need is a distinction, because there are different ways, and this is where we can get a bit more concrete, but thinking about how much, because people might say, I want enough to be able to travel, to not worry, to take care of my family, but what is enough? And you might have a bare minimum to cover your needs, and you might have then sort of a stretch goal, as you might call it. So again, before you even get into how you're going to make this possible for yourself, what kind of rates are you going to set, who are you going to work with, what are you going to do hours wise, and so on. It's really defining, okay, these are my goals. And there's a few different ways of doing that, I think, and I'm sure there are many ways, but the few different that I've thought about, especially let's say if you're leaving corporate to set up a side hustle, to go full time and so on in your business. One way, of course, is just to take your previous salary. And that's sort of an easy one for people to do. Okay, I was earning this much before. How do I then earn that much in my business? Now, the problem with that one is, first of all, that your salary is pretty arbitrary, in the sense that, a company has allocated a value to you. You haven't got a huge amount of control on that. Yes, it might increase with some, promotions and so on. Fundamentally, I think companies pay you less than you're worth, simply because otherwise they couldn't make money. So taking your salary is not necessarily a good goal, but it's certainly sort of a baseline. The other thing to think about when you're running a business is that you have less benefits and more expenses. So you no longer have your insurance, your pension, and I don't know, bus pass, gym membership, whatever it is. However, you do have, taxes, of course, and paying an accountant potentially, all the other expenses, obviously, if you begin to do marketing, web hosting, and so on. So actually taking your salary probably isn't going to even cover enough. I'm just making up a number, but let's say your salary before was 100,000, whatever currency. If you then take off the taxes, the expenses, benefits, and so on, you're not left with what you had before. So that's one route, is taking your salary. Another one is to go sort of bottom up, which is to look at your needs. So really look at your outgoings, look at all your personal expenses, mortgage, rent, household, everything, and look at your business expenses. And then, okay, as a bare minimum, this is what I need. And again, it's sort of a baseline, isn't it? Because that's just sort of survival. Of course, you can add in like some luxury holiday trips and so on, but you're basically taking the actual expenses that you have and will have, and then seeing, okay, that means I need to earn X. And it might be less than your previous salary, it might be less than you think, or it might be more, but either way, it's an important number. And then a third suggestion I would have is to go dream salary. So this is, when you really just go, this is where I think sort of the 6-figure or the million or whatever comes in, like, rather than going, this is what I need, and going from the bottom, you can actually go top down. Like, I've always wanted to be a millionaire, if that's a goal for you. Or, I want to reach the 6 figures, which is something that a lot of people talk about in business. And then you can work down from that. So those are 3 options I see. And you might do all 3 and then sort of see where you net out. But, look at your previous company salary, look at your sort of needs bottom up, and look at your ideal income sort of top down, if that makes sense.
And why do we need a financial target?
Oh, well, I always say that I quote so many different things. Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, then how are you ever going to sort of work out how to get there? There's another one, which is an old quote, that if you don't know to which port you're sailing, you're never going to have a favourable wind. So you need to know where you're going in order to work out how to get there. Because otherwise, if you don't have a target, I can say, I'm going to charge my clients £100 or £500. I'm going to have 3 clients, 100 clients, and I have no idea, is that going to be enough at the end of the year? Is that going to let me live my life as I want to? Am I going to get in trouble financially, put my family in a precarious situation? Or even, am I trying to reach a goal that's unattainable and is more money than I actually need or want? Do I need to be a millionaire? Probably not. And probably what it takes to become a millionaire is something that I don't necessarily want to do, and again the expenses and the team required and so on. So important to define again what success is, big picture in your life and your business, but also specifically financially.
I love the way you define what success is for you.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. And funnily enough, financial freedom is such an interesting phrase too, because it means different things to different people. Freedom was such a core value to me. And, I talk about it too, less so in the financial context, but what does that mean to you? You have to be super clear. Some people, it means, not having to work another day in their life and it's all passive investment. Some people want to be living their dream business, but, having choices around clients and so on. Some people just want to work a few days a week. Some people don't want to worry about money, whatever it is. But defining what financial freedom, what success looks like for you will help you then work out how to get there and get the support potentially that you need to help you.
What do you recommend on price strategy, right? So say I've set my financial target. Okay, I know why I'm doing it. I know I'm working on my thinking and my mindset. I'm knowing my numbers. I've set my target of what I'd like to earn. How could I help myself with my pricing strategy, knowing this?
Well, I think, again, there's a couple of different approaches. And I think one thing to steer clear of is to look at your competitors, ironically, because I think it's a good way to sort of benchmark and get an idea that, okay, people are roughly charging this, or prices can vary from this to that, or whatever it is. But I think other people don't necessarily know what they're doing either. They could have just randomly made that up. The fact that they have a price on their website or whatever doesn't mean they're actually charging. They might have 0 clients. And, they could either be way underpricing or they could be just ridiculously overpricing. Your background, credibility, marketing strategy, the way you deliver your services is nothing to do with how they deliver theirs. So I find, as much as it's interesting to benchmark versus competitors, it's not such a good place to start.
I would agree with that.
So assuming we're not going to do that, although, again, it's tempting to look at what other people are doing, and why not, at least to get an idea. It's, by the way, it's the same as when you in an office, you're happy with your salary until you find out what other people are earning, right? So it's all about relative success. But again, a couple of routes is thinking more about what success looks like for you. So how many hours do you want to work a day, a week, a year? So hours wise, there's, if you do a quick Google, and I certainly did this, 5 years ago when I got started, there's lots of articles around, okay, there's 2,000 hours in a year, and then they divide that out and you take, you want to make 100,000, you divide that by 2,000, etc. What that misses out is that, you're wanting to take holiday, maybe. There's sick leave that you're not getting paid for because you're working for yourself. And obviously there's all sorts of business development, admin, accounting, content creation, all that stuff that you're not getting paid for. So you need to really think about.
That's very hard. How does somebody price that? People sometimes struggle with that. Like, how do I price? There's the hours, say you're on the call with the client, and then there's the hours for, as you say, content creation and that. How do you make a figure on that?
Well, interestingly, if you go the numerical route, ignoring almost, the value for a moment, you don't know what clients are going to have, what projects, what work. But if you can work X amount of hours, and you have Y financial target, okay, very mathematical here with algebra, but, if you have £100,000 you want and you can only work 100 hours, let's say, that means you have to earn £1,000 an hour. Now you can then decide, okay, hang on, that's not feasible, or you can find a way to make that work. But let's say out of 5 days a week, I'm actually only doing paid work 1 day a week. It's not a totally crazy relationship, then you need to actually price as if you're only working that 1 day. There's no point in pricing as if you're working 5 days, because you're going to end up with 20% of what you need at the end of the year. So that at least is a numerical way of doing it. Now, obviously, once you've decided that, I need to charge £1,000 an hour, you need to then think strategy. If that really is my target, what kind of clients should I work with? How am I going to make my service so valuable that people will pay £1,000 an hour, and so on? So that's when you kind of work out the how. And by the way, I'm using the word hour. I imagine you probably agree with me, because most people tend to now, but we shouldn't really be charging an hourly rate anyway. So when we're doing these hourly calculations, it's more for us internally rather than to actually tell the client, because obviously we want to be reducing the time we spend and increasing the money that we're getting. So it's not about, I was going to say screwing anyone over, if I'm allowed to say that, but it's about valuing our time and having an incentive to work better, because ultimately you want to have a results driven business that, the clients. I give the example, I'm not very good at design. I'm not a designer. Now it can take me, let's say, a month to do an okay design, or maybe even a good design. I don't know, probably not. Do you want to pay me more because it's taken me a month? Or do you want to pay this other girl, Terry, who's an amazing graphic designer? She can do it in 2 hours, the same result, So you've got to rethink in terms of the actual value and result that you're giving. And yes, clients will still ask you for what your hourly rate is, but if you're going to give them that, you need to, again, factor in the fact that you're going to be working, you've got to think about the behind the scenes. So you might have to make up a number that reflects actually the hours you're going to do, if that makes sense. So I would steer clear of giving them just if you work out that you need the, £1,000 an hour, that doesn't, you're going to tell them number necessarily, might be just package it up in a way that makes sense for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna, this has been amazing. I've absolutely loved this conversation, and I think you've given our listeners a real wholehearted way of thinking about their business that I wish I had when I started my first business, about really thinking about your hourly rate for, as you say, internally, so that you can work out the cost of your business, work out where you want to go, why you're doing it. There's so much. I wish, looking back, that I started with my financial target and price strategy, because when I was learning this in the beginning, there was a lot of kind of do what you love and the money will follow kind of thing. But I know from my journey, and I think a lot of people will get a lot from this, you do need to start with where this money is going to come from. I know, like, your niche and serving others and all is such a big important part of it, and who your ideal client is and all that stuff, but you can get very focused on that. But if you don't know what your financial target is, what your price strategy is, how you're going to bring that in every month, your business is not going to last, So I love, Anna, that we have talked about this today and given some really juicy tips about how to go about it. Anna, how do we find out more about you?
Yeah, thanks, Lorna. I've really enjoyed it too. And as you said, this is what's going to allow you to have a business that lasts. So as uncomfortable as it feels to think about the money, and I agree that when you love what you do work-wise, you're going to deliver better work. It's going to be better for you and the customer. But as you said, you just need to get on top of the financials, and then the client strategy and so on will feed into what your goals are. Yeah. But you can find me. I've got my new podcast, reimaginingsuccesspodcast.com.
Love it.
And the company is called One Step Outside. So I do individual and group coaching, helping people set up the business and life that they love. And that's called One Step Outside, onestepoutside.com, and on Facebook and all the good stuff. And I'd love to share, so just based on sort of the more practical things that we were just talking about, I do have a little book to give. It's literally talking through, because I appreciate we went quite quickly, but a bit more sort of step by step on this kind of pricing strategy. I'm by no means either a money mindset or an accountant expert, so please, the usual sort of do speak to an expert and so on, but as you said, it's more of a wholehearted approach to thinking about how this fits into your life. But you can get this at onestepoutside.com/pricing strategy, onestepoutside.com/pricing strategy, and I hope that's helpful to support the conversation we've just had.
And Anna, just on a finishing note, for our listeners listening to this, what's that one thing you want to leave the listeners with?
I have to go back to taking a step away from the day-to-day, from even the pricing strategy, from all the rates and hours and concerns about money, to really take the time to reflect on what is success for you. And that includes financials, but more importantly, all the other good stuff in your life, because you just have to have that bigger vision of what you're trying to achieve in order to be motivated, committed, in order to stick with it, in order then to work out how you're going to get there. So think about what success really looks like for you, dream big, and then you can work out how to get there.
Thank you, Anna. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Lorna.
Hey everyone, remember to join us in the Private Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. This is a safe haven of like-minded wealth-getting go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate. I can give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing your wealth mindset and creating your financial freedom life. Join at www.facebook.com/groups The Financial Freedom Podcast. You will see the links to this on the website. It's in the show notes, or type it into the Facebook group. All you have to type in is Financial Freedom Podcast and you will see us there. Look forward to seeing you in the group. Take care. Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.